invite you. All right, and then you got to turn your camera on if you want to. I mean,
No, never.
you do you, boo.
Okay. How do I do this? Yeah.
What's up?
Hello. How are you?
Good. I think we're on everything except Facebook. Let's see. It says we're having trouble streaming on Facebook. It says it's probably a Facebook issue. I'm not going to worry about it. Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, I think that's just fine. What's up? We got Jamie coming in on Instagram. We got Bob. We got CLOS Berryfit, Farm DBVSG. That one's fun to say. Andrea or Andrea. I never know how people prefer that. We got Beth, we got LaShawn, we got Ash. Let's see, we're getting some TikTok friends. What's up, everybody? I thought today was Thursday, all day today.
Really?
Yeah, but then I'm like, wait, we got
feels
the
like a
waiting
Thursday
table.
type of day.
Yeah, look, Bob's calling you out, Rob. He's
Why?
like, I just looked at the clock and was like, where's the crew?
That's Rob's fault.
I'm not gonna say who, but yeah, it's Rob's fault.
Totally Rob's
and
fault.
poor Murph is out sick tonight, and he's really bummed because I don't know who's more of a fangirl of Dr. Smith, if it's me or Murph. I think it's Murph, honestly. So he's like really sick for him to be missing this. So I feel really bad.
I'm trying to see comments. Sorry, I'm trying to get on many phones here, and
you're old. It's okay.
And I'm old, so it takes so much more time.
Well,
Yes.
while Rob is being an old man over here, this is Happy Half Hour. Hey, Jean, what's up? And this is where we talk about all of our non-scale victories, which those that don't know, NSVs, non-scale victories, it's basically things to just celebrate that don't have anything to do with how much we weigh, which is fun. So even if you haven't had bariatric surgery, you can still participate because it's a fun thing to do. So happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, Jody. We got Lee, D. We need another E name to rhyme.
Robbie.
And I want to fit in Shea.
It's very West Coast of you.
Shea. All right. So start telling us your NSVs, you guys. Do you have one this week, Rob?
My NSVs are always boring because they're always the same.
Well, you're always boring, so that's okay.
I'm always boring, so
no, you're not.
What are NSVs? Always about training. Training's been going well. I am officially at the same body fat percent or slightly lower than I was at the end of my cutting phase last time.
Wow.
But I have 14 weeks to go on this current cutting phase. So yeah, so I'm in a good spot there. So again, my goal is to get to 8% body fat for this show at the beginning of June. So 14 more weeks, things are going well.
To give us perspective, do you know what like one of your highest body fat percentages were? Like, do you have a number in your mind?
Oh, shoot.
That you know
easily. Oh, that was easy. That was like easily, I don't know, over 60, 50, 60. Like when we're at 400 pounds, like that's a lot of body fat percent, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lot. Oh, so I'm going to shout out Trish just joined on Instagram here. Amazing peer mentor at UHN.
Yay!
She's one of the peer mentors with me. And we actually met for the first time 2 days ago. We went to late lunch together, and it was awesome meeting in person and having discussions and sort of connecting. So it was awesome.
Was she surprised? Did she make a comment on how tall you were?
No, because she's like about my height.
Okay.
So I was like, wow, you're tall. But she's like, ooh.
You're short.
You're short. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so body fat percent right now is looking good, and we are pretty close to yeah, I'm pretty much in line with everything I want to go with. So 14 weeks
That's
to get
awesome.
down, another 2 or 3.
Nice. Who's that guy behind you?
Hey, dude. I built a barrier so he couldn't get through mid
Like a
show.
puppy.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, but he's just stepping on everything anyways. Say hi, buddy.
Hi,
Hi.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Can you help me
With what?
with my I found another one.
He wants me to put batteries in his remote control car. Okay.
Oh.
Hey, look, there's thousands and thousands of people watching us right
Millions, I
now.
think, at this
Millions of
point.
people.
Yeah.
You need to ask mommy.
It's Murph.
Where's Murph? Murph has COVID.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sucks, right?
Bye-bye.
Tell mom to ask mom to, or tell him to ask mom to
And
help him, and that he'll buy her a new book. That'll
What
get
did
her.
she say?
Okay. She said, ask me to tell mom to help you, and then I will buy her a new book. Bye. Close the door, please.
That's a good idea, huh? He's like, okay,
Yeah, she's like, oh, that's
okay.
good.
That's a good idea.
We got some
All
NSVs. D. The Orange Theory team reached out to me and wants to come film me and share my story. That's amazing. Marcus, close the door, please. That's awesome, D. Congratulations. That's so good. And I can't think of a more fitting person to share the story.
Yes. Look, Gene has such a cool one on Instagram and TikTok. Callan, I see you, bro. Thank you. And tell us your NSV. I know you have some cool ones this week. Gene said, surgeon review, got papers back. Next to obese, it said no for the first time in my life.
Nice.
So
Nice.
cool.
That's
So
huge.
cool.
Yes.
Yes. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody.
I know.
People are just like, that's amazing, D, which I agree.
That's awesome, Gene. I love that.
So cool. All right, keep giving us your NSVs, you guys.
How about you, Shay?
So mine was actually today. I think I have shared it on here that I've been just working on moving and learning how to exercise, which like apparently I know nothing of what I'm doing, but I'm learning. I'm working with Bex. If you guys don't know who Bex is, she's awesome and she's been helping me. Yes. And I've been trying to learn. I'm a very like intuitive person. I talk about that a lot. And sometimes I have a hard time knowing when I need to push past certain feelings versus when listening to my body. And I feel like today was a really good example of that, where today was like a scheduled workout day for me. And I usually like to work out first thing in the morning. And I woke up just like not feeling it. Like I was just like, I don't really feel like doing this. And I thought about it a lot. And I was like, well, I don't have to do it. But I know I do tend to feel better after I move my body. So it's kind of like, what do I do? And I just realized that I've had such an all or nothing mindset with it, where it was like my choices in my head in that time was either I have to go full bore and do it 100% or not do it at all. And so I kind of made a compromise with myself where I was like, well, let me just start it. And if I decide midway or, at any point that I don't want to do it anymore, then I won't force myself to, and I'll just stop. So I started it and I just found like, oh, my body was wanting movement, but it wasn't necessarily wanting like high intensity or like doing a bunch of jumping or like fast movement. And so any of the workout things that I had that were maybe a bit too intense, I either modified them or I skipped them or I did something different. And that was, I think, just a really eye-opening and a pivotal thing for me to go, I'm so glad that I did something, even if it wasn't 100% in line with the plan that I had.
Right.
It just felt really good. So again, I think I get a little stubborn where it's like, for me, it just doesn't work when people are like, oh, you just have to force yourself to do it. Like that just doesn't work for me, where I feel like I get kind of stubborn and then I'm like, well, then I don't want to do it at all. And so I feel like I can kind of be like that within my own head. And so just allowing me to have choices and options is helpful. So that was an NSV of, I think before I would have just been like, if I can't do it 100%, I'm not going to do it at all. And today I feel like I still moved my body. I feel really good and I'm glad I did it. So
that's
that was
awesome.
my NSV.
I really like that because I think a lot of times we get in that mindset, and we talked about this yesterday on You Guys Will See Soon. We were on a podcast, Shay and I as
Not our
guests.
own.
Not
Yeah,
our
not
own,
our
as guests,
own.
which is great because we didn't know what to do with ourselves because there weren't
I
buttons to
know.
press
I was,
and
like,
look
fidgeting with
here,
my hands the
and I'm
whole
just like, "What am I
time.
supposed to do?" And, but it was good because we were able to talk about our story and talk about some of the struggles we had and sort of our mentality, and I shared how I had that very much, one of the keys, I guess, for my success thus far was, um, just really adopting that moderation mentality and not
Mhm.
sticking to that all or nothing idea that I've always had, which is also very ingrained in our diet culture, right? You
Mhm.
have to go all out, and I think that's a big part of living this afterwards. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, right?
Right.
Um, we don't have to do what we always had to do to be successful, and I think that's a big part of it. So I love hearing that because that also shows that it's changing your relationship or your understanding of exercise, right? Because a lot of
Yes.
times, a lot of us are like really gung ho, and then at some point, it's sort of like, oh, you miss a week, and then you miss a day, and then you miss a day
Mhm.
here, and it builds up, right? But you said I just moved. It wasn't all or nothing. It wasn't like
Mhm.
super intense, but I moved, and that
Mhm.
means so much. So that's awesome, awesome
Yeah.
to see.
And just changing, like, it's not a punishment anymore,
Right?
truly, like, it's like, wow, I really do feel a lot better when I'm moving my body, and at one point, that wasn't the case, so
Yeah.
very thankful.
Awesome, awesome. Fit Day on TikTok. Fit Dad K Smith.
That's
Three.
Callan.
I know. 3.8 pounds of loose skin removed, 9 days post op extended tummy tuck. Congratulations, buddy. That is amazing. I hope you are
So
doing
cool.
very well. He said, and this is a good point for anyone who's looking at skin removal surgery. The scales are actually up after surgery. Fluid
I
retention,
hear that from
100%.
everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems to be a very common trend.
Yep. And you'll see it and it'll be there for a while and get used to it, but it will definitely get better as time goes on.
How long did your weight kinda stay like, I've heard some people say that their weight will go up for almost like even a year after plastics.
So my weight didn't, but there was fluid retention and there was
Mhm.
a lot of swelling still up to a year. And even now, if I don't constantly stretch, and that's a big
Oh,
part of what I have to do now. If I don't stretch, there's always tension along my incision lines, right? Because
well,
there's scar
especially
tissue
with
buildup.
dem thighs, they just
Oh yeah,
pull everything
exactly.
down.
You
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 gotta
can't.
stretch them out. Yeah.
100%.
Mhm.
Um, Awesome. We have some really cool NSVs coming in here.
Yeah.
Bob's. Oh, okay. So I haven't been on. I'm sorry, guys. I haven't been on Instagram for a long time. I've just been super
Rob's
swamped.
been ghosting us just because 'cause
I
he's been
have.
busy.
I'm just like, no, I don't care anymore. I'm just kidding. I do. But the first thing I saw was Bob's post. It was a side by side of him, and it was sort of a reaction that he saw looking in the mirror at the gym, and he
Aw.
looks amazing.
Yes,
Super
Bob.
awesome, super proud of you, Bob. That's amazing. I every time I hear something from Bob, I always feel like we're partially responsible because yeah, he came on happy hour like the day after his surgery.
Yes, I
We
know,
were
that was
just
so
like,
fun.
oh, it's so amazing. Jamie, I am now officially 2 classes away from having my bachelor's
Oh
in
my
healthcare
gosh.
administration. Amazing.
So,
Congratulations.
so freaking cool. That's such a
Yeah.
grind, Jamie, especially with everything
With
that you've been
everything.
through, like,
Mhm.
you're amazing. I'm so thankful that you're on this planet.
Oh, me too. You rock.
Shea and Mac, let's see. Oh wait, I thought I saw one. Hold on. Oh no, you guys are just fun, just chatting with each
Yeah.
other. I love it.
Dem thighs bulging. Ooh, that's a waiting
Mhm.
table after dark here. You can't use that
That's on
word.
our OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's our OnlyFans, guys. The waiting table at OnlyFans. Is that how it works? Is it like something at OnlyFans? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I
I know. I'm
I'm
like, you're trying to play it off like you're not like one of the main contributors there.
right.
Sure.
Yeah. That's who do we got here? They pumped 5 liters of fluid into me during surgery. Yep.
During plastics.
Yeah.
Let's
But are you
see.
doing good? Are you doing okay? Like you're back to moving, you're upright, like 9 days still. There was still a lot of tension for me. And I don't know if what I had was very indicative of everyone else from what it sounds like it was, but Yeah, it is definitely a process there.
Yeah, I still go back and forth. I know many of you know, but my whole purpose of having weight loss surgery was to eventually have kiddos. And so I won't have any plastic surgery until I'm done with that process. But I go back and forth. Like some days I'm like, oh, that would be cool and nice. But then I see people recovering and I'm like, oh, like my loose skin doesn't prevent me from moving and doesn't hold me back in any way. So it would be more for like aesthetic purposes, which is a good enough reason. But I just go
Yeah.
back and forth. It's a big surgery, like, and no
Oh,
matter
for
what
sure.
plastics you get done, like, it's a big surgery.
Yep. And even for me, like, there's, I've had discussions about whether I want to go and do something else. And besides the financial part, which obviously is going to be a big factor,
Mhm.
but besides that, for me, it's like, okay, now I'm going to have to put everything on hold for how long?
Yes.
And same
Yes.
thing, I honestly, like, even tattoos, right? Like, so I have half sleeve, I have half my back done, I have part of my neck, I have all these different things. And um I want to get more, but then it's just like, okay, well, I can't be doing anything while it heals, or I choose to not do anything while it heals because I want it to heal
Yeah.
nicely.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, I don't think I'm willing to stop all the things I'm doing right now for that much time.
I know. Well, I think before when I had excess weight, it was easy to put things on pause because there weren't really many things going on. Like, I didn't care if I didn't
Sure.
move for like weeks on end or like it's interesting how having a new lifestyle, different things become important, where it's like there's certain things I'm not willing to give up anymore like I
Yeah.
used to. It's an
Yeah.
interesting transition.
Which is good because, like, we look at, again, when we think about what this surgery has meant for us, it's sort of like now we're not willing to compromise certain aspects of our life, whereas before we were, because we may not
Mhm.
have been happy with where we were, or like the circumstances, we didn't really care. I know I didn't
Mhm.
care about a lot of different
Mhm.
things,
Mhm.
and I love seeing that people do now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And sort of want to take hold of their life.
Yeah. I just saw on TikTok, Callan said he's doing great. He was dancing yesterday
Nice.
and it's on TikTok. I haven't seen that. I'm gonna have to go check out Callan's dance moves because I know they're good, I'm sure.
Oh, Shan Mac has a good one. She saw
Yeah, read
47
it.
patients for weight management this month, which is amazing. And Dee says, out here saving lives, 100% she is.
That's
Dee also
right.
says, the only table. That's our OnlyFans, the only table,
Yes,
guys.
that's good. I like that.
That's nice.
Yeah,
I
and those
like
that
it.
don't know, Shannon is a doctor, and I know I'm probably gonna get this wrong, Shannon. We still have to have you on the show, by the way. But I know she has special training within obesity and weight management. And so that makes me so happy that you're gonna be with all those 47 patients, you're gonna be the doctor who validates people, who
Mhm.
actually gives them supported resources. And how cool is it that you get to be someone who says, "And I've been through it before and I know what it's like." Like, it just like
Right.
I could cry thinking about that. I think that is so cool.
Okay, cry. Go. Go for it.
Okay, great. I know I'm gonna have to make up. I don't think Dr. Smith is a crier, so it's gonna be all
No.
on me tonight since Murph
Yeah,
is
Murph's not
sick.
here.
Yeah.
There has to be tears somewhere.
We're gonna get you one of these days. Me and Murph talk on the side and try to think about what will make you cry,
Yeah,
Rob, and
this
we're gonna get
cold,
you.
cold heart.
Mhm. Mhm. No,
Um,
no, we'll get through it.
Oh, Jamie, I got my Grow with Shea merch. Big NSV.
Woot woot.
Nice.
Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, and
Who's like
speaking of merch, oh, what?
No, no, go, go, go.
Is that what you were gonna say? Were you gonna
No,
do a plug?
no, that's
I'm
all
always the
you.
plugger.
You're
No,
the
that sounds
plugger.
weird. Don't
Yeah,
clip
yep.
that. No,
Only
I'm
table,
wearing
guys. It's the only
only table.
table.
Only at the only table. Oh, where am I? Okay. This is our waiting table merch. So I wore our sweatshirt. I love this sweatshirt. I wear it all the time.
So nice.
So we have waiting table merch and it's in the link in our link tree bio. So go check it out.
D says I'll be in my best. I see. I don't believe any of this thing that D's saying. I'll be on my best behavior tonight. Can't be ratchet with the doctor in the house. Okay,
Yeah, right.
okay, buddy. Tell
Okay.
that to a specific plastic surgeon in Canada that you're gonna be on your best behavior.
So, those that don't know, Dr. Eric Smith from Thousand Pound Sisters, and I feel like, he's been a bariatric surgeon long before that show has been popular, but I think that's where a lot of us have seen him for the first time.
Yeah.
He's going to be on our show tonight, and I just am curious in the comments, like, is anybody else fangirling? I'm going to really try hard not to be creepy and not be weird, but I just am so excited to meet him. He seems like such a cool person. Just curious if anybody else is going to be fangirling a little bit. I know you will, Rob. Just kidding.
I'm a big fangirl in
Just in
general.
general.
Just in general. Yeah, I was telling our other peer mentor, because we were all together, about Dr. Smith joining and being on today, and she knew everything about, like, she's like, oh, what's the update on Tammy and this and this.
You're like, I don't know. We got to educate you, Rob.
I know, guys, come on.
You're part of this community, and part of that is TLC. You got to stay updated. 1,000-pound sisters, 1,000-pound best friends, Too Large. That's Dr. Proctor. What else am I missing?
I just know
600-pound life. Yeah, that's like the OG.
That's the one we need to fight against. Not fight against, but we need to make a better representation of that. Who wants to see? We'll make a better representation of that, because we will.
Yeah, well, because that's why I didn't think I would qualify for surgery. I was like, I'm not 600 pounds, so. But no, that's like one small group, still a very valid group, and people that need support. But yeah, it's on the small, or it's not the majority of people who get weight loss surgery. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Shannon, thank you for adding this in the comments, because I butchered what I was trying to say. But so Shannon had RNY and became board certified. Oh, I didn't realize you were board certified. That's even more than what I realized. Became board certified in obesity medicine to help others succeed in the battle against the disease of obesity. Totally fangirling for Dr. Smith tonight. Yes. Awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, I had, what I had this week? I had somebody on TikTok. I said something, I can't remember which video it was on, but I said something about having the disease of obesity. And somebody made a comment of like, obesity isn't a disease, like LOL or something like that. And I just was like, oh, like, here's the information. I didn't realize it was a disease either. And, but that was the first time. I haven't had anybody push back, but I know other people have that, where people push back on that all the time. But heard it here from a doctor. It's a disease.
There you go. Yeah, the internet is fun that way, isn't it?
Yeah. I feel like I'm lucky. I haven't been hit with too many mean people, but they're out there, and that's okay.
Oh yeah. I think that's part of it. Like I haven't really either. I just get inappropriate pictures, but that's fine.
You like those though. Those are what boost your ego. You're like,
oh, for sure. I'm just like, yes. Someone thought it was awesome. I was awesome enough to send me nude photos. I'm like, thanks, guys. From Rob at the waiting table.
Hashtag
the only table. Hashtag
the
only
table.
So
I feel like we're gonna end up getting more racy tonight. I feel like Murph is the one who ends up keeping us in line with like getting too inappropriate. The family now I'm a little nervous. I'm like, oh no, we don't have him to keep us in check tonight.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll let Dr. Smith lead it.
And I have a really fun game too. I'm really excited.
Okay, it better be fun.
I think it will be. I'm pretty excited. It's gonna be a fun one. But the thing is, you can see stuff in StreamYard. You can't cheat because there are some answers. So try not to look at any of the pictures or videos or anything, or else you'll be cheating.
I won't. Oh, okay. Like I won't look
in the sidebar. Don't look.
Sure. All right. Look. Yeah. I don't cheat.
All right.
All right.
All the time. Okay, wait. Before we go, look, I see Dr. Smith. He just came in. He's in the background, so hopefully he's hearing us. Dr. Smith, we're asking who's going to be fangirling over you tonight. And so far, we have D, who said, let's see.
You look like a movie star in person. That's what D said.
That's what D said. D said, I fangirled over Dr. Eric in person before I knew who he was because I never saw the show until recently. He's just a dapper guy. I love it.
Fangirled without even knowing who you are. There you go.
All right. Well, it's 6:00. Should we get going? We'll do sexy time music and then we'll be on shortly.
All right, sexy time music in 3, 2, 1.
In this moment, yes, I cannot say what's wrong or right. No, it's not hard to fool me. No, 'cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yes, yeah. Either way, I follow. No need to say. No, where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all, to the edge of it all. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find a better one, yeah. Susceptible now, before the moment flies. Ooh, so tell you good night, 'cause I'll find a better one. Ooh, susceptible now, before the moment flies. It's not a problem, no, 'cause I know what I'm getting into. Yes, yeah, and nothing can stop me. No, 'cause I'm addicted to what you.
What's up, guys? This is Rob, and I got dem thighs.
What's up, guys? This is Murph, and I got COVID, and that's why I'm here. What's up, guys? It's Shea. I'm the girl, and welcome to the Waiting Table Podcast.
So
What's
mean, just
up?
all them out like that.
Well, you like said it so perfect. I'm like, oh, poor Murph.
Right? Oh my god. Hey, it's just us two today. I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to deal for the next little bit, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, we can do it. I believe in
I
us.
think- Hey, we can do it. I totally have faith in us. We've done it for a while, so we're
Yeah.
good.
And
Thank you,
you
everyone.
guys. Oh, I was just
No,
gonna say, if you
no.
guys didn't pick up, Murph is unfortunately very sick tonight, and he has to be really sick to be missing tonight. He's been looking forward to the show, so hopefully we can just get Dr. Smith on another time too, so Murph can meet him.
Yeah, he was really bummed about it.
I
so.
know.
Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of the Waiting Table Podcast, where we have roundtable discussions about the hottest topics in weight loss with, of course, the coolest people from the bariatric community. I'm Rob. We don't got Murph, but we got Shea. And of course, we got you guys. So grab a chair, wind down from your busy day, and take a seat at the table. Shea, how's it going tonight?
It's going good. I'm excited. I have been planning for tonight for a while. So excited. I'm really excited for the game we have planned. It's going to be fun. I'm planning to have a fun night tonight. I don't know if anybody else will who is on this podcast, but I will be having fun.
Hey, that's awesome. I actually want to just shout out Jamie one more time because Jamie has said we were asking in happy hour for anyone who is watching now who's going to be fangirling over our guest tonight the most, and we had numerous people talking about who they will be fangirling or how much they will be. And Jamie, my favorite, says, "I will low-key fangirl because I'm always a hashtag Rob fan."
Wow.
Yes,
That means a lot.
I love Jamie. Carry on.
I love it. Well, should I introduce our guest so we can
should.
get him on? Okay. Well, if you guys have been living under a rock and you don't know who Dr. Eric Smith is, he is a board certified general and bariatric surgeon who has been in practice since 2006. He's a master surgeon in robotic surgery, a national proctor, speaker, and teacher for intuitive surgical in the specialty of robotic bariatric surgery. He's board certified in bariatric and robotic surgery, a member of the American Society of Metabolic and Bariatric Surgeons. He performs more robotic sleeve gastrectomy surgeries than anyone in central Kentucky. I feel like that should be like a bumper sticker or something. That's a cool thing to say.
Yeah.
And he's engaged, caring, and a dedicated physician who has completed thousands of bariatric surgeries. So without further ado, Dr. Smith, let's bring him on.
Welcome.
What's
How's it
up? How are you
going?
guys?
Good.
Very
How are
good.
you?
Good. So you guys
Did you-
got one down with COVID, huh?
I know. Poor Murph. He
Yeah.
was so excited too. And that's how I'm like, he must be really sick. Poor guy.
Yeah, that stinks.
He was actually trying to make it like a game time decision and trying to be like, okay, guys, I'm gonna power through it. It's gonna be great. And then he's like, yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I can. Probably not. So.
Well,
It's all
thank you
good.
so much for being here. We're so excited to meet you and have you here. And we know you're super busy. So we're excited that you were able to make time for us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to meet you guys too. I've watched you from afar. Was hoping I would get a chance to meet you guys at the last award show, and no matter what I tried, I just couldn't make it happen. So I'm sure we'll meet in person soon.
Definitely. Well, I did pre-warn you on this, Dr. Smith, but I typically am the one that I know. Don't worry. I think this is actually a pretty easygoing game, considering that we've had Creedioke where I made the boys sing Creed songs. This is like a lot easier than that. So this is a lot better, I promise. So
okay.
Many may not know, but one thing that Dr. Smith, Rob, and Murph all have in common is that they're drummers. And so for tonight, I thought we would do a little drum trivia. And here's it's not like
I'm terrible at trivia.
Let me get my Google on my other screen going here.
I'm bad at trivia too. I didn't do like, when was the snare invented? Not trivia like that.
All right.
How this works is I'm going to show a picture of a famous drummer, and I'm going to give a little background so you know a little bit more about them. And you can work together. You can look at the comments and people can help you. But I'm looking for the drummer's name and the band. And there's one that's kind of a trick one in there. So that's kind of important to know. So the drummer's name and the band.
Okay.
Any questions? That's okay. You can.
So we're on the same team.
Yeah. Okay, we don't have to do points.
I'm going down with somebody on my
Done. You can be collaborative. We want audience participation. So you don't have to struggle on your own. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So this first one, I'm going to put the picture up. This drummer is an English musician, songwriter, and actor who was a drummer for a band founded in 1960 with 3 other English gentlemen. You guys know?
We do.
Oh, yeah.
Who is it?
Go ahead, Dr. Smith, if you want to jump in on this one.
The drummer is Ringo Starr, and I'll let you take the band.
From the Beatles.
Nice. See, not too hard. You guys are doing good.
All right.
I didn't know. I knew Ringo Starr, but I didn't really know any of these people. So that's how you know they're pretty famous, where I think you guys will know them.
Okay.
All right. Here's the second one. So this drummer was also an English musician who is regarded as one of the greatest drummers in the history of rock music. He was noted for his unique style of playing and his eccentric and self-destructive behavior. Anybody know?
I feel like that if I saw an older version of him, I would probably know, but I'm not sure. Can you give us a hint? Unless you know.
Do you know, Rob?
No. 80s? Is he 80s? Is this 80s?
I think so. A little 70s.
What does the band's name start with?
Yes.
Okay, so it starts with the.
The.
Like the.
Like
And
the
then do
Who.
you
Yeah, I
want?
was gonna guess that too,
Yeah.
Shannon.
Hey, Dr. Smith got it. The Who. Yep.
Nice.
So does
I
anybody know
don't.
what his name
Yeah,
is?
I don't know his name. I don't.
So this is Keith Moon.
Okay.
Obviously not that famous if you guys didn't.
I don't know if you should base that on us.
No, yeah. I'm
All right.
I'm sure the Moon family is not losing sleep.
All
We're gonna
right.
get that right.
Oh, Justin from Boston got it.
Good job. Good job.
Where are
Keith,
you guys
yeah,
seeing
Christy.
this? Can I see these comments?
So these are on Instagram. If you want to pull up your phone on the live, that's where we're
Gotcha.
seeing them both on YouTube and Instagram. So you can,
Yeah.
you can look on them
Ah.
there to get some help. Yeah. Ooh, Pete Townsend was a good guess, Christine. That was a good guess. All right.
Okay.
Are we ready for the third one?
Totally.
Okay. This one, Rob, if you don't get this, this will be sad.
Drummer
Because
for Creed.
no.
That no one
Because
knows.
this Canadian musician is a drummer and primary lyricist of a rock band. His fan-given nickname is The Professor. You guys already gave this guess at one point.
We gave this.
Anyone?
I don't
Or
remember.
you already
guessing.
guessed it at one point,
Did
kind of
we?
towards the beginning, or maybe it was somebody just in the comments.
It must have been in the comments because I don't feel like we
Neil
guessed anybody
for
here.
Rush?
Yes, you got it.
Oh my gosh!
See,
See,
because I was
here's the thing. He's one of my favorite drummers, but if you just showed me him like in the past, obviously he's passed away now, but
yeah.
I would have got it.
When
See,
you were talking
I
about
guess maybe
being
I did make
lyricist,
it
I was like,
harder.
oh, but Geddy Lee though. So yeah.
Good job,
Yeah.
guys. All right. We
Legit,
got just a few.
probably, arguably the greatest drummer ever, in my opinion.
He's up
Nice.
there. Definitely up there.
Well, you haven't seen Rob and Murph yet, though. So.
Oh gosh.
True. True.
You don't want to. Barry Godmother
All right.
Christine says I'm waiting for Lars from Metallica.
Oh, I know. He's actually, this will be a good hint for you guys. He's not in this round. I tried to keep it short so we didn't have too many.
I was waiting
But
for
yeah,
John Bonham.
he's a good one. All right, this one's kind of my little trick one. Okay.
Okay.
So you may know this American musician as the lead singer and guitarist of the Foo Fighters, but before this, he was a drummer for an iconic 90s grunge band from 1990 to 1994.
Nirvana.
You guys know?
Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
Nirvana.
Yep.
Good job. Good job. All right, we got 3 more and then
Oh gosh.
we're done here. Okay. This one actually has sound to it. Okay. So I'm going to read the description first and then I'll play it. So this iconic Canadian drummer is currently bandless, but has earned considerable recognition for losing over 200 pounds. His fans often refer to him as having impeccable thighs and often use the hashtag dem thighs when describing him. So let's see a clip of this guy. Any guesses?
I think did you get that off MTV? I remember seeing that.
Yeah, I think it was on an episode a while back. Yeah.
That's like 2021. Yeesh. That's like right after surgery.
I know. I thought that was cool though. I'm like, because I could already
That's
tell
awesome.
the difference from
God.
how you look then compared to now. All right, our next famous drummer. This eccentric American drummer is known for the way he can light up a room with his infectious smile. He is known for losing over 300 pounds and is part of a large band with 7 of other members. Let's give this guy a listen. Oh, it kind of gave it away there at the end. Did anybody guess that one? Oh, my husband Dylan, he said Travis Barker. That's a really good guess. That's a really good guess.
Pretty close.
That is our own Murph. He's good, right?
He is really good.
All right. I don't think you guys will guess this last one. This one is kind of an outlier. This one's a little wild here. Bariatric surgeon by day, drummer and party animal by night. This inspiring drummer enjoys using robotic forms of technology to help patients treat the disease of obesity. He is currently searching for other surgeons to create a band called Slicing and Dicing. Let's give this guy a listen here.
Hey, we got a doctor playing the drums right now. Let's do it.
Had to get that
All
last part in
right.
there. Yes. Okay, you have to
That's
tell us about that, Dr. Smith. Tell us a little bit more about drumming and what that was all about, because I was like, that's so fun.
Yeah, so that was actually, it was a lot of fun. That was so the guy in the white suit is a guy by the name of Steve Azar, who's a good buddy of mine. You guys, I'm going to date myself because I know you guys are much younger than I am, but
No, just Shea. Just
Steve
Shea.
Steve was Steve is a singer songwriter. Steve had a really, really popular song back in the early 2000s called "I Don't Have to Be Me Till Monday."
Oh, fun.
And great songwriter. He has a celebrity golf event and charity golf event every year in Mississippi that I always go to. And he's been on me about, once he found out I was a drummer, playing at the concert at the, for the auction and everything. So I had not played drums in front of anybody in like over 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
So he gave me enough crap. I'm like, okay, I've got to get these things out of storage. So the night before I flew to Mississippi, I threw some of my drums together and I thought, okay, surely I can play Hard to Handle, because I used to play that song all the time. And actually the guy singing is a guy by the name of Ray Boudreaux, who was one of the semifinalists on The Voice back early for The Voice, maybe like season 6, something like that. He's a good friend of mine too. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. The problem is I literally am playing that song, and backstage is Sean Drover, who was the drummer for Megadeth.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I gotta finish and get up, and then Sean's gonna get up here and play. So it got much better after that. Let's just say.
No, I think you did amazing.
You did awesome.
My husband's a guitar player, and so I've been to quite a few shows, and I'm like, he's good, especially because I knew you hadn't played in a while. That's awesome.
It was a lot of fun. It actually got me to realize, for something this year for myself, I'm going to try to play a little bit just out of enjoyment. Because I do miss it. I've always said there's nothing better than playing music in front of people. I mean, when I was 16, I was lying about my age and playing in bars with guys that were in their mid-20s, and you might only have 15 people out there and only 5 of them are reasonably sober, but it was always a great feeling to play music for people that were enjoying it,
For sure.
That's so
Dr.
awesome.
Smith, do you ever, whenever you go see live band, like let's just say you go to a pub or a bar or whatever, and they have a live band up there, in the back of your head, do you ever wish they're going to be like, hey, does anyone want to get on the kit for this song? And then you're just like, oh, shoot. Yeah, I sort of, because I know I do every single time.
Well, because you're an attention whore, Rob.
Yeah, because I'm the attention whore. That's part of it. That's the main part of it. But then it's just like, yeah, no, I just want to get up there and play. Because same type of thing. I agree with you. There's nothing like it. There's nothing that compares.
Yeah. I think I don't as much anymore because I'm just so much out of practice, and I'm a little bit of a perfectionist that I don't want to go up there. And you forget that to everybody else, it's still good, but you know what you're capable of. And you're like, man, my meter was not very good that night or something stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely closer to when I was playing, I think that all the time.
I ended up actually just buying recently an e-kit, an electric kit, because my brother
I did
doesn't live
too,
close.
actually.
It's so good, and I'm just like, okay, now we got to jam, because one of my buddies is in California. He plays bass, and my brother lives about an hour and a half from me, and it's just sort of like, well, I don't know anyone really close to me who can consistently play, and I'm just like, I'll buy a knee kit and play if we want to. Like, we'll just get some stuff going, because like I just want to play again. That's
So
one of
you
my
playing like remotely with each
yeah,
other?
yeah,
That's really cool. See
yeah. You
that
can totally set that up,
how cool is that we can do stuff
right?
like that now? I just got one. So I just recently set it up and I've messed around on it just a little bit,
Yeah.
but I'm still kind of trying to figure out um, some of the programs that you can get where you can play along with songs and stuff that like that, even if you don't have somebody to play with.
Yeah.
Well, now you have somebody to play with.
There you
Just
go.
reach
Let's
out to
get it
Rob. He'll get
together.
you set up, and
Yeah,
you guys will start
absolutely.
your own
For
band.
sure.
I mean, you can take the name Slicing and Dicing. You don't even have to give credit to me if you come up with your own band. But
That's our
this was
band name,
just a
Slicing and
suggestion.
Dicing?
That's just my suggestion. I just made it up, but
Okay,
Yeah,
this is
she
what we're
just
gonna
wants
do.
5%.
Yeah. Dr. Smith, the next meetup we actually get to go, we're gonna set something up. We're gonna plan something,
Yeah,
and
let's have a
we're
band
gonna
with
play.
whoever's
Yeah.
there and
If
play a
Murph,
song.
100%, 100%.
Dylan will do guitar. My husband, he can do guitar. He can learn
I'll
anything
pivot to
really quick.
bass for it. There
There
we
you
go.
go. Perfect.
Well, see, I'm
Fun.
not that talented. I can't pivot to much else, but
You get
That's all
drums.
right.
You get drums. We'll
Yeah.
give that one to you for sure.
And Murph
yeah, that would be a
he'll be the
blast.
he'll be the fly girl. He'll just dance. Just dance his heart away.
Dance his heart out. I
That's
love it.
awesome.
Well, speaking of that, Dr. Smith, I know a lot of times when you come on podcasts or, when people see you, it's very much about bariatric surgery. And I don't want to discredit that because you've contributed so much to that area. But I was just really curious to know more about like you as a person. That's why I think it's so fun, like knowing that you're, like drums and that you actually had a life prior to surgery. Like, can you walk us through a little bit of your story and kind of what led you up to kind of maybe present day? I know it's kind of a big question, but just like kind of just a bit more about you as a person.
Yeah, nothing too crazy exciting, but I grew up in Kentucky, so I've lived most of my life in Kentucky. I grew up in like the northeastern part of the state. If you look on a map where Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia all touch there on the river in a little place called Ashland, Kentucky.
Oh, cool.
Went to college at Marshall University. Actually went to Marshall as a place kicker. Did not contribute much. I was redshirted and then developed some problems with my knee, but that's why I went there.
Mhm.
And then went to medical school after that. Did my training in Dayton, Ohio, before I actually went back to my hometown for about 6.5 years before moving to where I'm now in Lexington, Kentucky. But I think I loved sports. I literally going into my senior year, that wasn't a lie. I was 16 playing in a rock band with a bunch of guys who had hair down to their mid chest. My parents hated it, especially my mom. And we would play in bars and events all around.
What was the band
And
name?
this is, it's so bad.
That's why I asked.
We all are. So it's all good.
So the band's name was called Nasty Jack.
Ooh, I like it.
Nice.
I like it. Has a good ring to
Yeah,
it.
It's sort of like
it was
cheese
we
going
played
back.
hair band
Yes.
music. So Motley Crue, Skid Row,
Yeah.
a little bit of Bon Jovi. That was a little bit more glam for us, but we played a little bit of Metallica. I couldn't play everything that Metallica could play, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's always kind of been the genre that's close to my heart. And I literally thought that I knew I wanted to go into medicine, but I loved that so much. I told my mom, I'm like, look, I'm going to finish my senior year and then I'm hitting the road with these guys.
Yeah.
And she started having some success kicking football. And, I had my football coach. I played soccer and that's how I got into kicking football. And my football coach really believed in me and really kind of took a liking to me when soccer guys back then, they used to call us communists. That was their nickname for us. You know, they did not like us. But he, you know, every time I'd always did everything with the team. I never got out of running. I never got out of lifting or anything like that. And he took a lot of pride in me. And so at the last minute, I'm like, you know what? I probably should go to college, and ended up deciding to like kicking and go to college and kick. But I always was intrigued by medicine. And even when I was younger, there used to be this channel that they would show surgeries late at night, and I would watch them, and just loved it. And so, you know, I like anybody that goes to medical school, they have ups and downs of different specialties. Oh, I think I like this. I like this. But I always knew I wanted to do something with my hands. And first surgery rotation I did, I knew I was sold. And so I went into general surgery residency, and I trained at a very high volume bariatric center in Ohio. So we were the first center of excellence for bariatric surgery in Ohio. And this is back in the day when there was still a lot of open bariatric surgeries being done. Really during my training between 2001, 2006 was really when the market started to be penetrated by minimally invasive surgery for bariatrics, because it's complex surgery, you know? And so what happened is my trainers brought in a new fellow into their practice to offer laparoscopic approaches to patients that qualified, as well as to teach them how to do laparoscopic bariatrics too. And at that time, you know, bariatric surgery laparoscopically was taken 6 hours plus. It was only done on the lower BMI patients, not the really heavy patients. And so I was fortunate enough in my residency that I got asked to be chief resident 2 years. So I got a chance to be split chief resident duties as a 4th year, as well as be chief resident my 5th year. And so this was before the work hour restrictions where, you know, the residents, they can only work so many hours. Not that they don't work hard, but, you know, we were working 120 hours a week without, you know, blinking an eye. So I had a lot of caseload. I knew I was going to have plenty of surgeries that I had logged and performed when I finished. So I went to the guy that they hired and I said, look, I'm going to cut you a deal. You're going to have a medical student driving the camera for you in these cases as a new attending. And because you're low on the totem pole of the attendings, we got to staff our senior attendings or they're going to murder us. So if you will, I'll come drive the camera for you for your first 30, 40 cases instead of you getting a med student, and I'll pass up being the primary chief surgeon in another room, but you got to teach me how to do these surgeries. And he's like, if you'll do that, absolutely. And so I swallowed my pride. I went in there, held a camera like a medical student. I watched him. And then eventually he's like, okay, so we'll start you here. And if you can get this much done in this amount of time, you keep working. And so I'll be honest with you, I did that because I knew if I can do a laparoscopic gastric bypass, I can learn to do anything. And I'll have a skill set above and beyond most of the people where I was coming out. But then, you know, in residency, what happens is we have resident clinics. So it's a clinic designed for the residents to learn how to manage the patients. It's usually patients who the indigent care, or maybe patients who don't have insurance, to make sure they get the same care. And we're overseen by our trainers, but that's where it's kind of our patients in our clinic. And so I went to them after I started doing these cases and I said, why don't we have a bariatric clinic? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, right now, the patients who have state insurance, you all as private doctors, you're not taking that. Why don't we take it? And they'll get an opportunity for those that need bariatric surgery to have bariatric surgery. And you can teach us about managing them in the clinic and how to, you know, all these things. And I said, but if they qualify for laparoscopic bariatric surgery, that I get to do all those cases, even if it's not my month to run the clinic or not. And again, they said, okay. So then when I got to manage patients in the clinic and I got to see how they were impacted, and I got to see, it was fun surgery, but their lives changed in a matter of weeks and months, I was sold. And I'm like, okay, this is what I'm made to do. So
wow.
The rest is history.
Yeah, that's incredible. And what was that like? Because at that point, you graduated in 2006, I think I saw. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
at that point, obesity wasn't even considered a disease like that. Like it, what was it like then? Like you obviously saw the impact that the surgery was making on people, but at that point, what was kind of like the general consensus or like understanding of what was happening with these people?
That's a great question because, like, for me, I've been in practice about 18 years, and it all kind of runs together.
Mhm.
But sometimes you stop and you think back, and the first practice I was a part of, we had a bariatric program at that hospital. I was one of three surgeons. I did general surgery and bariatric surgery for a long time. I probably only recently gave up the last bit of general surgery over the past 2 or 3 years just because I'm so busy with the bariatrics, but I loved
Mhm.
doing them all.
Mhm.
But, I think what people don't realize is that where we fight that stigma now of it being almost um, an easy way out. We'll use that,
Mhm.
that quote that we hear all the
Shout out to
time.
Jamie. Yeah.
That's what it was in
Mhm.
people's perception, because we couldn't even use the excuse, well, it's a disease. We as physicians understood
Mm.
this is much more complex
Yeah.
than their than maybe a behavior that they need to
Mhm.
address. But on the same token, we didn't really have a platform to fight on.
Mhm.
We could fight for our patients. We knew how it changed their lives. We knew how it impacted their diabetes, but we didn't have the argument that we have now because it had not been brought to the forefront. So
Mhm.
as frustrating as it is for a lot of us now, it was so much more difficult back then. And I remember when I was in practice back then, even some of the insurances that did cover it, many of them required 12 months of diet visits before you could have
Mm.
surgery.
Mhm.
And so the example I use now with people is, especially like primary care providers who still are that old, well, they need to do this for so long
Yeah.
before they have surgery. And I say, so do you ever put a patient on 12 months of weigh-ins before you give them a type 2 diabetic medication?
Yeah.
Well, absolutely not. I'm like, well, why don't you make them fix everything themselves before you help them with, an actual
Yeah.
treatment?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy to see where we've come from.
Yeah.
What
Wow.
would what would you say, like, because obviously there's been such advancements and everything has grown so much. The whole climate has changed in regards to not just bariatric surgery, but the understanding of it. What would you consider probably the biggest or most important change during that time from when you started your practice to where you are now? And I guess I would say that personally, but in general as well, holistically.
I'll kind of break that up into two parts of an answer. I'll look at it, as far as technically from a surgical standpoint, and I'll look at more of it um, as the whole atmosphere of
Sure.
the idea of the disease. I think technically, robotics has been a massive game changer. And it's not because we weren't doing these surgeries laparoscopically. Before I started doing robotics, I did all these surgeries laparoscopically.
Mhm.
But
Right.
what we're able to do robotically as the procedures continue to advance, as revisions go up for a variety of reasons, um, as patients' BMIs go up, our average BMI is going up. And for us to be able to tackle that, and I know with 100% confidence that when my patient goes to sleep, that they're going to wake up with a surgery that's done with incisions
Mhm.
of 8 to 12 millimeters in size at max, and they can go
Mhm.
home either the same day or the next day.
Yeah.
To do these surgeries efficiently and minimize some of those complications that are just associated with being asleep for a long time.
Right.
It's crazy. And now the technology that we have of where, we've always used staplers and things like that, but we have staplers now that literally evaluate tissue thickness, know which loads we should use for compression. So we ideally give them the best staple line. That has been a huge advantage technologically. I started doing robotic bariatrics in 2013. I started robotics in 12. And I was
Wow.
seen by a lot of people as a sellout. Like, why are you using the robot? You only
It's
use
the
the robot.
easy
You
way
can't do this
out.
microscope. Yeah, exactly. You can't do this laparoscopically. I saw a post by some surgeon the other day. I won't mention his name, and I'm like, man, you freaking have no clue what you're talking about. But
Mhm.
and now in 2024, this past year in 2023, robotics just bypassed laparoscopy as far as
Mm.
the number one modality we use
So
for
cool.
for bariatric surgery. Now the non-surgical part, and I'm not saying this to float your all's boat or anybody else's, but the social media slash bariatric community
Yeah.
is changed everything. It's raised
Mhm.
awareness. Patients coming out, telling their stories, sharing their stories, the good, the bad, the ugly. I can tell you, for a long period of time, I was so anti social media, I wanted no part of it. We as doctors, we get paranoid because patients are getting their information from somewhere else,
Sure.
and how dare them do that, right? We're scared of Dr. Google. And I think, as I started to realize what was out there, I also realized, I can sit around and complain about it or be paranoid about it, or I can maybe do something about it, at least
Mhm.
contribute, at least try to put some good information out there. Not that there's not already a ton of good information, but add to that.
Mhm.
So I think patients now have people that they can identify with. Back
Yep.
when I
Mm.
started, people didn't ever want to talk about having bariatric surgery.
Yep.
Mhm.
So many times people didn't know anybody that had it. Maybe their coworkers were losing weight and they had no idea why.
Mhm.
And it's so much easier now to put people in contact with community and let them have that example or that community to join or that support
Mhm.
system that helps us, tremendously. And I think when Jamie asked me to write her forward of her book, I used that as that example because you mentioned it. That's one of the things that I mentioned in it because I was always taught that your patients can teach you more than anything.
Mhm.
And what our trainers meant by that is the way your patients respond to surgery, the complications, the people who
Sure.
do good, they're teaching you. You just don't realize it. They may be asleep, they're teaching you. But I realized in bariatrics that patients, whether they're mine or other surgeons' patients, are teaching me as much as I'm able to teach them, hearing their
Mhm.
stories, knowing what they go through. Um, and it's I think that's what sets apart the really good physicians from the
Mhm.
average is the ones that are willing to like kind of let their guard down and let patients teach them too.
Agree.
Yep.
Agree.
I'm curious too, have you always been like that, having that mentality? Because that was one thing I noticed about you. I know like TV portrays things differently, but when I saw you on Thousand Pound Sisters, there was such a difference between how you treated them compared to other people. And you just showed up with so much compassion and understanding and empathy and kindness. And I hadn't seen that on TV portrayed quite in that same way. So I'm curious, is that how you've always been, or is that something that's kind of newer, just that you've been open to learning? Because surgeons kind of have a stereotype of being a bit more direct and not always as empathetic as you seem to be. So I'm just curious where that comes from.
I think when you're in one of the lessons I learned when I was in training was that you can learn something from everybody. The good surgeons, the bad surgeons, the in between. There's something you can learn, either what to do or what not to do. I definitely do this because I love people. I mean, but I'm the kind of person like if I did something else for a living, we were at an event, we struck up a conversation, we'd probably hang out the whole evening and enjoy ourselves just talking about life. I love people. Um, and so to enjoy my job, I always wanted to have a relationship with my patients to some extent. That's why you'll never see me in academic medicine, and that's not a knock on medicine. But for me, I need to be part of a community and a community hospital, and I don't want to feel like just a mechanic as they come in. Um, I want to take care of people, and then I take care of their family members and other people like that, and get to know people. But as you evolve in your career, when you first come out, you think you're smarter than everybody, and you learn really quickly. I'll never forget the first day I walked in the operating room where I started my job. The OR nurse was a lady that I went to church with, and she looked at me and she said, "Dr. Smith, I changed your diapers in the nursery at church. If you act like these other surgeons, I will call your mother at the end of this
Nice.
case."
That scared you straight. You're like, I'm going to be on my
And
best
I
behavior.
laughed, but I guess I remembered that kind of how I was raised, that everybody has a value, whether they're
Mhm.
taking the garbage out in the room or they're putting the patient to sleep or they're doing the surgery. I think specifically for bariatric surgery patients, I've always I don't know, for whatever reason, I've just had some, a level of empathy for people that struggle with that. I feel like I'll always be honest with them. And if there's a part that they're playing in that, but there's a way that you can be honest with people, but not be condescending and not be uncaring, you
Right.
know? I think that as we go through life, and I've told patients this on occasion, we all have a moment in our life where we struggle with something, where we hit our proverbial rock bottom. And I think when you go through something in your life and you hit that, you understand where people are, even if what they're hitting is not the same cause as what your pain was. I've just always looked at it as like, I felt that pain, but maybe from something different.
Sure.
And so you want to be there for them. And, I think from the show standpoint, I struggled with doing it. I almost said no for a while, just because I'll be real honest with you. Some of the other ones, we'll just leave it at that I'd seen on TV before, I wasn't fond of. I felt like they were popular only because it was comedy hour and the patient was the victim. And I wasn't cool with it. And I had a conversation with my CEO at the time, and he said, "Well, you can complain about it, or you can do something." It's kind of like the social media thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I sat down with them, and the production company that does the show have always been good, I give them credit, because I said, "Look, this may be fake good TV or bad TV, but I'm going to be me. I'm not reading a script. I understand I may need to repeat something. That's part of filming, but I'm not going to make rules I wouldn't make for people. I'm not going to make concessions that I wouldn't make, but I'm going to be me. And if you're expecting me to belittle people or be mean to people, I'm not. I'll be direct. I think if you watch the show, there were times I was pretty direct. I think there was one episode I'm like, man, my face was red. I was pretty frustrated. But that's just, I don't know. I feel like the best compliment that I've had from the show that really truly means the most to me is the random messages that I get all the time, where people will reach out and say, when I saw that, it made me realize there are surgeons out there that I could go see, and they would give me some empathy and be patient with me. And I didn't care that they didn't come see me, because there are other surgeons out there that treat people that like that. And that's what I wanted them to know. It's not like what you may have seen before. So,
well, because when
that's
that's all
it.
when that's all you see, when you are somebody who has the disease of obesity and you have excess weight, you're getting a lot of shame thrown on you just in
Sure.
society in general. And then when you watch shows like that, where it's like, damn, even the people that I'm asking for help are shaming me, like there's no winning,
Right.
right? And I think that's what always stood out to me with you, and you were very different in a really cool way, where it's like I was like, dang, like he's not shaming. He's very kind and empathic. And it's like, I think sometimes people who have had excess weight in the past think that we're not deserving of that. We're not deserving to have people be kind to us in general, or to have doctors be kind to us. And seeing it done, though, it's like, no, that is what I'm worthy of. Like, I do deserve to have people treat me with respect and kindness. And so I'm really glad you did it, and you could show that too, because it's setting a different standard for other people of knowing what they're worth. And I think that's really cool.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you saying that, and I'm glad I did it too. I think that's been the biggest benefit from it, and it's created a platform of conversation where someone maybe got into the show to watch it subconsciously, maybe for the laugh, and learned a lot from it. And I've had people also say that too, that, you know what, I saw a different side of that. our patients have many of our patients that we come in contact with have very little trust in the healthcare system
Yeah.
because they've been told for years that there's a simple solution for their problem. You just do this, you just eat right
Just
and exercise,
yep.
and it doesn't work, and they think they're a failure. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, they've never been told what the odds are, even if it worked for them. And
Mhm.
so, I remember one time when Tammy was struggling and I was asking her to lose weight, she was gaining it. And I mean, people would send, people, you know how it is. Will send some of the worst messages, and they're like, you're just making it worse. Just give up on her and
Mhm.
move on. She's never going to get it. Why are you wasting your time? Why are you? And I'm like, so when did the rule become it's on my timeline? Like,
Right.
if we're here to help people, then we're here to help people. We're not only here to help people if they agree to do the things that we get paid to do or that we like to do.
Mhm.
And that's what I always wanted her to understand. You may never make it to surgery if you don't feel like that you're ready. But I'm not going to say unless you're ready for me to cut on you, then don't bother me
Yeah.
don't bother my time. I mean, that's
Mhm.
crazy. Unfortunately, it
Mhm.
happens more than it should.
Mhm.
And I think if there's so many patients out there that if somebody would just be a little mindful of that and
Mhm.
meet them where they are, they'll
Yes.
come around much quicker
Mhm.
Sure.
to what they know will ultimately work for them.
Mhm.
And to get to see where she was and where she's come to is amazing. And
Mhm.
I get to see the stuff that's not publicized of a
Right.
picture that she'll send me of an activity that she's doing out of the blue, and can you believe I'm doing this right now? And that's the best.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But if I would have been impatient and says, well, come on, we got a season to meet, or even if
Mhm.
it was off camera and say, well, I'm a surgeon. If you're not ready to have surgery, then just let
Mhm.
me know when you're ready and then we'll do it. That's not helping them.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people, have mentioned in the comments, right? Like they didn't have that relationship with their surgeon. I'm the same
Mhm.
way. I didn't have that relationship with my surgeon. And so, um, the kindness is really what sticks out to a lot of people because that makes a big difference for them. And I think it really does a good job with setting them up for success because a lot of it is that mindset shift of what their value is. And if you're shown that with your surgeon, then that has a lasting impact, right? Because I know for me, like when I remember the very first time the bariatric surgery conversation came up, my mind immediately went to that TV show where it was all about shaming that person. And it was sort of like, holy crap, I've gotten to that point in my life. And it was automatic, like
Yes.
depression that, like, obviously I wasn't the happiest with everything and I was aware of it. But when the label of bariatric patient was given to me, that's what I thought. And there was a sense of helplessness just because of what we had seen, what we were given. And so I love the fact that you're sort of changing the narrative in regards to that and the perception of what this whole relationship with your surgeon and patient is. So that's amazing. I commend you on that.
Oh, thanks.
We're just seeing.
Sorry, I'm cracking up right now because I don't know if you've seen any of the promotions we've done, Dr. Smith, for this calendar, but we had this calendar done where we've partnered with WLSFA and it's showcasing bariatric men because, like you had mentioned earlier, a lot of men in particular in the past have felt a lot of shame and embarrassment of sharing their story and how far they've come with bariatric surgery. So we did a calendar to showcase that. And all of the profits of it are going to fund a patient to get bariatric surgery. So we're still working on doing that. But we have D, who is a big fan of yours, and he's like, I know he said it jokingly, but I know him well enough to know he's not joking. But he's like, flip to my calendar. So right now we had Rob at the first one, and then here we go.
Oh, look what you did, D.
I know. This is
Man
for
down,
you,
man
D.
down.
Oh, this is Dr. Shivers. This was Rob's plastic surgeon.
Okay.
He made it in there. If you had been at the show, we would have gotten you in there. So we'll just have to get you in the next one. But I'm gonna get you, D. Don't worry. This is your time to shine. This is Murph, who's sick, who would normally be here. Oh, and this is Dr. Fridley. Have you talked with him at all? He's another one of our
Yeah.
other bariatric surgeons that we really
Yeah.
like. Okay, here he is. This is D.
With that pose too.
I know.
Yeah,
What time
I
is
met
it?
D in Portland
Uh-huh.
Okay.
for a show. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
super nice guy.
Well, he says to say hi.
All right, what's up, D?
Dr. Smith, may I ask, because it's clear that, there's so many people out there within our community, and I'm sure outside of our community as well, that you're a standout to them. How have you dealt with the newfound fame from being on TV and being sort of this amazing surgeon to these patients, and really, like we said, paving the way for us looking at surgery and that relationship in a different way?
I don't know. The fame part. It's very random and sporadic.
Okay.
So they'll go time. The places that you'll get recognized or someone will say something to you will be so random sometimes. Like my oldest son, who's in college, when I was on a college visit with him, he actually goes to University of Alabama, but we were at the University of Auburn because he visited there too, and we're having lunch in like Chipotle or something. And there's a bunch of other kids on a visit, and you get that feeling there's someone standing over top of you, looking down. And I look up, and this young girl, she says, "Are you Dr. Smith?" And I'm thinking, how would she know who I am? I'm in Auburn, Alabama. And I thought, oh. And she said, Are you Tammy's Dr. Smith? And I'm like, yes, that's me. And then she turns around, I told you guys. And they come over. And my boys have always been kind of embarrassed by the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so, of course, then they hand the phone to him to take a picture of all. I'm like, oh God, please don't hand him the phone to do that. Well, I'll just take it myself. So he's having to take the picture. Or you'll be in an airport, or you'll be in an airplane, walking down the aisle, and somebody will randomly say something to you. But I think I'm just a normal guy. I really am. I don't say that if I don't mean it. I just, that's what I feel like. And I think that it's always people who would least expect that they watch the show.
Mhm.
And so I do think there's a lot of people that get drawn to the show, maybe not for educational purposes. And obviously the show's not just about
Sure.
bariatric
Right.
surgery, but the show brings to light those things and then those ups and downs.
Right.
And I think that for me, the best thing that I can do is just use that platform to maybe educate people, make people aware of things. Show people that this is something that's not just a self-inflicted disease.
Mhm.
And, even if it's somebody who doesn't battle with it, maybe they don't even have a family member, but if they see people differently, then it's a win. And that's just kind of how I've looked at it. I think that, I'm very proud of my surgical accomplishments, and those are independent of any show. I mean, by
Sure.
no means because I'm on a show does it mean that I'm a better surgeon than someone else. Obviously I feel like they reached out to me because of my reputation.
Sure.
I think that's kind of just separate. And I've got
Right.
some phenomenal surgeons that I speak and teach with. I sit on the advisory board for Intuitive Surgical, and there's some bariatric surgeons on there that are at massive academic centers. And by no means am I any better than them just because I'm on a show. In fact, I think they probably enjoy asking questions about it because it's the other side, because they're knee deep in the academia, which
Right.
is so important for what we do. But I just look at it as, we all have a platform and we can choose to
Definitely.
use it or not. I think that's the message that I try to always teach my kids, and that I've just tried
Yeah.
to use myself.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for using that platform, whether it's social media. As you had mentioned, I think that really does a lot for the community in general, and just for general perception and knowledge regarding this subject matter. I think that's pretty big. So,
And it's encouraging people that you might not even realize, like even other
Mhm.
physicians. Shannon Mack is a doctor who's part of the waiting table. She's on pretty much every week, and she's board certified in obesity medicine and has been she said she quotes you all the time and has learned a lot from the stuff that you've talked about. And so I think that's what's so cool. It's like we're in a time where we can educate people who are patients, but then also show kind of a different norm for surgeons, for physicians of like, you don't have to be a jerk to be a very good doctor, right? Like, in fact, it's
Right.
kind of the opposite. When you're kind and empathetic and you have patients who can trust you, they're probably going to be more compliant than if you're a kind of a jerk to them. So,
Yeah, and I think, but it doesn't mean that we have to being kind doesn't mean not discussing hard truths.
100%. That's actually
We
being
have the
more
ability
kind.
to
Yeah.
exactly. It's
Mhm.
respectful to be truthful, but you
Yes.
can be compassionate and you can be kind and still speak the truth. And you will meet people along the way, and I have, who don't want to hear the truth and they just want to
Mhm.
immediately put their guard up and say, "Well, you're being mean or rude."
Mhm.
And that's going to happen. You can't make everybody happy.
Mhm.
But I think of being able to be truthful with people and honest with people, but being considerate and kind in the process of doing so,
Mhm.
because you can't change anybody if they don't develop any trust in you.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter how smart you are, you know,
Yeah.
you have to develop that trust with them first for them to buy into, okay, he may have me do some things that don't make sense or hard, but I believe that this will get me where I need to be.
Mhm.
And I think that that's what I consider a very important aspect of what we do. I
Yeah.
spend a lot of time with patients talking about surgery, but I also spend a lot of time, maybe a little bit more, talking to them about shedding their past, about,
Yeah.
Mhm.
not living in their past and the regrets of their past and not letting those things define them.
Mhm.
And, whether that makes me a motivational coach or what, I don't know. But I think I look at it as it's not because I'm smarter than them. It's because that I can reflect on times of my life where I know that that's
Mhm.
what helped me,
Yep.
and I can just pass that along to them too.
Yeah. Well, I imagine you come across a lot of people where they might not be ready to take your advice or to move forward with things. And I know in this community, we're such big advocates for bariatric surgery, and we have maybe like friends and family members who could really benefit, but it's kind of, a touchy topic sometimes to broach. But any advice on how to do that, how to be kind but truthful, and like maybe just some suggestions of things that you say when you're in that situation of with your patients? I think it might give us a good idea of how to approach that with people in our lives.
Well, I do think at the end of the day, facts are always helpful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And, understanding some factual information, and it's big picture stuff. You don't have to dive deep into statistics that are just overwhelming, but understand, I think one of the most important things I try to get across to patients, family members who maybe come with them with some
Mhm.
apprehension about bariatric surgery, is that right away, do you understand the likelihood of your loved one losing enough weight and becoming non-obese with just the modalities you've been telling them? Eat right and exercise, diet
Yeah.
and exercise, whatever you want. You put them on an actual plan. Do you realize the chances of that working? I always stress to them, because what we're aiming for is to become non-obese. We're not
Mhm.
aiming for losing weight. I can make anybody lose weight. I want you to be non-obese, because then I take
Mhm.
your mortality rate back to where it should be. When you present that to them and then you present what surgery can accomplish, then at least lets them listen. Then they may say, well, but this is super risky. And then I can quote data that shows that the surgery that we do
Mhm.
is actually less risky than run of the mill gallbladder or appendix surgery.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Then you can open up the conversation for them to understand that this is a disease. And
Mhm.
but I also, I think this is a great example of being truthful as well and being honest. I always look at them and say, look, I guarantee you there are some parts of your lifestyle or eating habits that you could have done better, because we can all do
Totally.
better at the things that we do. I
Mhm.
feel like I'm a good father, but I know I could be better at times.
Mhm.
So yes, there's things that you can do differently. What I want you to know is what you have is not 100% related to what you didn't do well or
Mhm.
what you could
Mhm.
have done better. It plays a
Mhm.
role, but most medical problems that we deal with, there is some behavior that plays a role in making it harder to treat. So
Mhm.
what it does is it normalizes things. It
Yeah.
normalizes that conversation that you're able to have. So a patient who you're talking to that's overweight doesn't feel like you're being critical or you're fat shaming them as
Mhm.
society would call that, that you're treating them like this is no different than anything else.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and the other thing is in the shows, I think Rob, you were making this as an example, at least indirectly, that when you watch some of these shows, you think, oh gosh, I've got to be way that for me to
Yeah.
Yeah.
qualify for
Yeah,
surgery.
for sure.
And I've had some very interesting conversations with people from production companies about, hey, let's do this, and I'm like, we're not going to do this over and over again. Like we've done enough
Mhm.
of this. Of
Mhm.
you got to be this or higher, and then we're
Yeah.
going to do a show about it. No. There's a whole nother story that we can be telling.
Mhm.
And when you're
Mhm.
ready to tell that, I'll tell it with you.
Yeah.
Because people get so fixated on that, they think, well, I don't qualify. Well, we don't want you to wait till you have all those
Yeah.
comorbidities.
Right.
You're type 2 diabetic, your BMI is 33. If you have bariatric surgery, you're not going to have diabetes anymore. You realize,
Mhm.
like, it's gone.
Yeah.
That is a game changer for you.
Mhm.
If you're obese and you're a type 2 diabetic combined, your chances of developing cancer is increased by 300%.
Wow.
300%.
Yeah.
So those are little things that I think you can get them to understand.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it normalizes it so you can at least have that conversation.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. For sure.
Well, and that's part of why I started sharing my story. I was 27 when I had my surgery, and the main driver behind it is because I wanted to be able to have kids and conceive. And I had, lots of issues with that. And I feel like those are the voices that I want to see more too of like, let's do it earlier before you get to the point of trying and trying and trying all these different things that don't help you lose excess weight. And like, let's do it more preventatively than we've done. And
Yeah.
so that's my hope. I hope
Yeah.
we see more of that too.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
All right. I have one more question. Rob, do you have any other questions before? Because I know we're kind of wrapping up on
Yeah,
time.
yeah. So my question is, what has the hardest part of sort of making all of these, I guess, changes in perspective in regards to the bariatric community or the bariatric process after bariatric surgery been? What's been the hardest thing or the biggest stumbling block? And even with that thing, was it harder than reeling in that 105-inch marlin in Cabo? Because I've gone deep sea fishing and it's tiring.
I
If
was
you may.
exhausted. I was
Yeah.
not giving up. There's
Yeah.
no way I was giving up, but I literally could barely
Yeah.
crank that reel.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge like fisherman, so to speak. So I don't think that I really understood what a big deal it was to get to bring in that kind of fish. And all the
Yeah.
people that were with us that do that a lot, they're like, that's a big deal. I'm like, wow, I guess this is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I, I want you to clarify a little bit. The hardest part just about perceptions to change. Is that what you're asking about
Yeah.
bariatric surgery or?
Well, I think with bariatric surgery, but just I guess the overall perception of bariatric surgery, right?
Yeah.
So what was the hardest thing to change from the time that you started to where you are now?
Well, you have to be comfortable in your own skin.
Right.
Because I think even as a surgeon, I mean, you as a patient and you as a surgeon too, because there are some people that like, well, I can fix somebody's heart, but you're doing surgery, and why doesn't this patient just do X, Y, and Z, and they wouldn't have to have surgery? And I mean, there's times that people look at us and say that we're making a living off of people's. I had a lady one time not too long ago that literally shamed me for sharing a picture with my family on vacation because I was basking in the glory of making a living off of people's pain. I believe that was the quote that she said.
Damn, that's intense.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
I
are
don't even want to go on
Satan
vacation
himself.
anymore.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know, sheesh.
But there's people like, well, you should just teach them to do this, and you wouldn't have to operate on them, but you're operating on them, and you're making a living off of them. And we've heard things like more in the past than now, and you're
Yeah.
just like, man, you just don't get it. But you just have to take a deep breath and realize this is how much of a disconnect there is, even within the healthcare community, of that obesity disease. In 2024, we have plenty of primary care physicians out there who are still telling patients, you don't need surgery. You just need to do the right things. You just need to eat right and exercise. Some of those physicians are struggling with their weight themselves when they say
Yeah.
that. And I know we're wrapping up, but I'll give you a really, really quick example. Is I had a lady one time who was she had one diet visit away with her, or one weigh-in visit away with her primary care provider before she could be cleared for surgery. Her insurance was requiring 6 months. And my insurance coordinator brings a letter to me and she says, you need to read this. And it was this primary care doctor that sends lots of patients our way. It's not that they don't believe in bariatric surgery. And the letter basically says, Mrs. Blank, unfortunately, has gained 8 pounds since her last visit. In the long run, I ultimately think that she would benefit from bariatric surgery, but at this time, I do not think that she's a great candidate. And I said, give me the phone. And they're like, no, you're not going to call anybody right now. You're going to calm down. So I calmed down and I called the person a day or two later. And I read the letter back to her. Yes, I know. It's so frustrating because I know eventually we'll get her there. And I said, I have a question for you. You're an excellent doctor and you educate your patients well. And this person's on 3 diabetic medications. So I'm willing to bet when you went from number 2 to number 3, you educated her on some dietary changes that she could make to maybe make her diabetes better controlled. Oh, yes, absolutely. I said, so she obviously didn't listen to you perfectly. Why did you give her the 3rd medication?
Right.
Well, that would be withholding care. And I said, and that's exactly what you're doing. And it got silent for a second.
Sure.
But it made me realize that there is such a disconnect. We have to change that.
Yeah.
Like I am daggone determined that we're going to change that. We have to change that because that is who patients trust, is their primary doctor who they've seen for their colds and their broken bones and everything else. And so we have to find a way to educate these people who should know this information and get them to understand that just like you would send somebody with shoulder pain and shortness of breath to a heart doctor, people who are battling obesity need to go to an expert for that. And they may not always need surgery, but they need some form of treatment for it and not just telling them change the way that you act.
Yep. And that's what we're always encouraging patients to do, is ask those questions with their primary care doctors too, because it's easy to feel offended and like get defensive when people say comments that are coming from not understanding, obesity and how things work. But if we can push that aside and go, and this is the approach I try to take, it's like maybe they genuinely don't know, because there was a point in time when I had the disease of obesity and I had no idea. I had no idea that obesity was a disease or that I had it. And so I think too, the more that we, again, keep shame out of it, not shaming people for not knowing things, it's like, but asking that question and approaching it with kindness and curiosity of like, hey, do you actually know this? Because at one point I had no clue. Like maybe you genuinely don't know that. And just because you're a doctor, you still might not know that. And so it's, again, asking those questions and advocating for yourself is really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Final question I have. And I just also want to say too, we've had so many good comments on Instagram, just saying how much they appreciate you, Dr. Smith, and all the stuff that you do as an advocate on behalf of like the bariatric community. So I just wanted to make sure to share that. But I am curious. So you've gotten to see the transition of all of these different things take place over the last, 20 plus years, because when you were in school and everything. What do you want the next 10 years to look like? And I'll keep that kind of broad. Like maybe if you want to talk about the next 10 years within bariatric surgery and obesity medicine, maybe like where you fit into that. Like what are you hopeful for in the next 10 years for things to look like?
Well, for 30 years, we've not moved the needle in obesity, meaning and how it's treated, meaning in 2024, the number is as bad as it was 20 years ago where 1% of the people who actually qualify for surgery are actually having it. And there's not another pathology out there that low of a percentage is actually seeking treatment. And you can't say, well, let's add in medical weight loss because that's 2 to 3% even now with GLPs. But you also can't compare those results because they literally are not even in the same ballpark as far as the success rate. And I want to see that change. I want to see more people be treated. I also want to see things that we can do to lower that rate. There's not a whole lot I can say right now because there'll be a big campaign coming out next month that I've been asked to be a part of with a lot of really cool names that I don't really feel like I necessarily belong with. And that will make more sense when you see that campaign announced. But I think I will touch on it enough to say I think that in our country, what is being allowed to be put in our food is criminal at times. I think there are patients that sometimes don't even have a fighting chance because of what the kind of foods that they can get access to, whether it be education or foods that they're under the impression are healthy. And there's chemicals in our foods here in the United States that are not even legal in another country. I can go to what many would consider a third world country and get a McDonald's French fry that has 3 ingredients, and in our country it has 25 ingredients. How does that make sense? I would love to see that change. And I think there's some powerful people, much more so than me, that you'll see that I think are going to get behind this, and hopefully we can at least make a dent in it. I would love to see more people seek treatment. I would love to take some of the things that I've been blessed with resources and support for patients and find ways to give that to surgeons all across the country. There's a project that I'm involved with now that I've joined in Pop Recovery that I think we're going to be releasing a program for patients who truly have lifelong support. And I'm excited to see that. I'm really excited to see patients who understand that a mental health coach should not be something that checks a box for you to have bariatric surgery. It should be somebody that partners with you for your journey thereafter, because we all got our stuff and we need help with it. There will always be a role for what I do, but I hope that I can be involved in more things outside of just having to operate on people to make people's lives better who battle with obesity. And that's my hope, and that's what some of my goals are.
I love it. So just a few, not anything too big, just like basically saving the world, like no big deal.
Well, no, not that. Just
well, but it is
goals,
one step at a time, right? And that's the thing, not one of us on our own or people individually can't make the change, in a quick enough time. But that's what's so cool about this community. When we all band together, we're talking about this and it's out there for the world to see. It's like, that's what makes it change. And it really does change the world over time. And so it's exciting and hopeful. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. But the things that you guys do, like right here, is so important, because patients can reach out to other people who've been through what they're either going through or what they're considering going through or what they're going through, currently. And there's only so much that we can do as surgeons for them to identify with, for them to listen to. And so what you guys are able to do is very, very powerful. And I can tell you, as a surgeon, I'm very grateful for it, because it is not uncommon for me to make reference to podcasts like your all's or accounts out there. And I've literally direct messaged certain people who I think a patient would identify well with because of their struggles. And you never have somebody who's not like, absolutely, have him just direct message me. I'll talk to him. I'll help them however I can.
Well, you have more resources. You reach out to us anytime with anything, and our table is always open. That's what's cool with our virtual table. There's always room. So send people over. We love meeting new people.
I appreciate that.
For sure. Thank you, Dr. Smith, for joining us tonight. Again, like as Shea had mentioned, great conversations in the chat, just in regards to everything that you were saying, in regards to all the topics and people agreeing with you and sort of sharing their own stories and thoughts on it. So thank you so much. And thank you guys all for joining us. Shea, you want to share with everyone what we have going on next week?
Yeah, so next week it's gonna just be the three of us, me, Rob, and Murph. We're gonna just do Ask Us
If he's feeling better.
Anything. Yeah, hopefully, in theory. If not, Dr. Smith will be back. No, I'm just
There you
kidding.
go, replacing Murph.
Yeah, sorry, Murph, you've been replaced. No, but we're gonna just kind of do a catch up just to check in because I feel like we've been ships passing, so it's just gonna be a casual, cool episode next week. It'll be fun.
Sounds good. I love it. So thank you guys all, and thank you for joining us on the Waiting Table podcast, where we're serving the weight loss community
At a time. Had to get deep. Normally Murph does that part, so I had to try to.
Wait, like the first part of the word, the 1 pound at a time.
1
It always like
pound
cuts
at a
off.
time.
It's like your voice can't register at that.
It gets too deep.
Yeah. But
This is where we
we'll get-
dance. We dance off. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Have a good night.
See ya.